l'encourage Olivier. Allez Olivier. Allez, on l'encourage. Jules.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for some ChessBoxing Light action. We have a French fighter in the red corner with the red gloves, and we have a Latvian in the blue corner with the white gloves. And in this format, we have 90 seconds of boxing. So in these 90 seconds, it is very difficult to score any sort of knockdown or knockout because we're using heavier gloves and headgear. You see that bar across the face for headgear. That helps prevent not just broken noses or jaws, but also cuts to the face. A pretty action-packed round. With 90 seconds, you can go pretty much full speed the whole time, all the way up until the bell. And there it is. Now, next up, our fighters will take off their gear, make their way over to the chessboard on the stage, and play a 4-minute round of chess. This 4-minute round of chess will be a 5-minute time control for both fighters. So there is a chance that this chess match isn't finished in this round, in which case they will go back to the ring. So love these new chess formats. They obviously need refinement because they are brand new, but these new chess formats are helping bring more people into the sport of chess boxing, and we see that here with our French and our Latvian fighter. And if you aren't familiar with my voice, hi, I'm Matt. I am a commentator for all of our international chess boxing events, and I'm sitting alongside my co-commentator here, Carl. Carl,
hi, Matt.
How you doing?
I'm good. Enjoying Italy.
And what do you think of this new ChessBoxing Light format?
I was very skeptical at first, as I always am. It's my first reaction to things, but to be honest, it's a good surprise. I think it's something fresh. I think it doesn't really matter that we having problems understanding the rules at first. It's just something to get people in the door and enjoy chess boxing.
Agreed, yeah. And anything that can help remove barriers to entry into our sport, I think are generally a good thing. Of course, starting out, it might be a little clunky, but as we continue to refine it, hopefully it'll attract more and more people to the sport. And one of the biggest hesitancies to new people getting involved is getting hit in the face. Who wants to get hit in the face just kind of right off the bat? So ChessBoxing Fit is non-contact. You just go up against a heavy bag. And ChessBoxing Light, this format, is with that added protection gear.
Definitely. Plus the 16-ounce gloves instead of 12. So
yeah, so heavier gloves, more padding, and the crossbar helmet.
Plus the intention of not trying to knock out, to try to score points, which people, we see sometimes not really getting into this stuff. They get carried away sometimes, which is also a bit normal, and that's what the ref is there for, to actually tell the guy to calm down rather than give the other guy a count.
Yep, love that. And let's shift gears to this chess match. So a lot of development so far. We're about, about a 2 minute and 30 second into this round, so a little over halfway.
Okay, so it's King's Indian kind of structure, except the pawn hasn't landed on e5. He's kept it on e7, so he's basically on on 3 ranks with that pawn on a5, of course, trying to get that b4 square. The knight might be going there, but there'll be a3. I think that knight's heading more to c5 and put pressure on the e4 pawn. I think white's actually fine, but black's not in big trouble either.
Nice. So pretty even game so far. Not much action, no pieces off the board.
A space advantage, obviously.
Yeah, big space advantage for white, but that is kind of the MO for the King's Indian. You're staying back, you're waiting to, if we're using a boxing analogy, we're waiting to counterpunch our opponent. We're sitting back and waiting for them to make a mistake, to overextend so we can come back.
The big difference being, again, that pawn on e7.
And now the c4 pawn under attack.
Under attack, the bishop's there to make sure everything's still under control. And is he moving back and forth? Maybe he's just a bit out of a plan.
And maybe extending his time advantage, and again, like a counterpuncher, waiting for white to overextend, like moving the G pawn up the board, starting to weaken the king. And there's the end of the round. So now our fighters will make their way off the stage, back to the ring, put back on their protection gear, and carry on the match. We do have 90-second rounds in this ChessBoxing Light format. So not much time to do a lot of damage or knock out an opponent. But this is, like Carl said just before, intended to be scoring points, not hurting your opponent, and so it favors a more amateur style of boxing that you see in the Olympics and in feeder programs in a lot of our countries that are involved with this sport.
It also helps a little bit with the boxers. Sometimes the boxers come in the sport and they don't realize that maybe the chess is actually going to be predominant at the end of the day, because there will be a decision, whereas you're not, even if you are better at boxing, you're not going to knock your opponent out. And so it's kind of like a bit of a fair play thing, like, okay, if you did better at the boxing and I beat you at chess, okay, let's call it a draw.
Makes sense. All right, the bell has rung. The second boxing round is underway. We have the French fighter in a southpaw stance. That's right foot and right hand forward, favoring left hand dominant. And the Latvian fighter also switching to southpaw after the first 15 seconds of the round. He is matching his opponent. So southpaw versus southpaw. I'd give a slight edge so far in both activity and points scored to the French fighter. Good combination landed there by the Latvian fighter.
Did he just switch there back to... he's a switcher, is he? He's punching and switching quite a lot.
I think they're both still in southpaw. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did see a neutral stance there a second ago. Looks like the Latvian is switching back and forth a little bit more.
A lot of opportunism, just you're seeing an open space and just landing a punch in there. And
I think a bit more fatigue, or maybe just a speed differential. The Latvian fighter throwing slower punches, a few getting through there, though. Two good right hands landing on the crossbar there. I was going to say chin, but no chin exposed.
They seem to not be worried too much about distance, like calculating the distance. Like, okay, even if I'm going to get hit, I'll land maybe 3 of them. And because of the extra protection, okay, that punch won't count so much.
Watching this is making me want to do it more. Looks pretty fun.
I'm going to have a go at it.
Oh, you heard it here first. Carl, the GOAT, getting back in the ring. Do you think that'll happen today, tomorrow?
I'm going to be, I think somebody's just going to tap my shoulder and say, off you go, But
excellent. So today it is. I look forward to calling your fight.
Cool. Be indulgent, obviously, after a month of eating.
Good little cardio. So 90 seconds flew right by. We are having some deep breaths from our Latvian fighter. Love the sportsmanship. The French fighter holding the ropes for his opponent as they make their way back to the chessboard to continue the game. Right now the game is dead even. Maybe slight space or positional advantages leaning towards France, but there has not been much movement or any exchanges so far in this game.
Well, obviously, like, the space advantage is only sometimes when in a chess game, it's only on paper. But with chess boxing, it's going to just give him more options. It's just going to be easier to move pieces around without making a blunder. Whereas Black has to kind of be careful what he does. So it's just an easier position to play. That can be some kind of advantage, even if it's not an objective one.
That's right, and he may need that space advantage translating to a time advantage, because he is behind about 20 seconds on the clock.
I'm not too worried about Olivier, though, because I know him. I know he's been active in France for quite some time. He's around 2100. He was at 2100. I don't know if he still is. But I know that he's a natural, so when he'll have to speed up, I'm pretty sure he will.
Yeah, and we see the first piece coming off the board, first 2 pieces actually. So we have a pawn exchange on the A and B file, and now on the C file, Olivier took on C6.
Yeah, but the real important thing is that Black, to defend against it, played that bishop takes c3, getting rid of his dark square bishop. And now you see that the squares around the king are extremely vulnerable. All he has to do is get that bishop of his let's say, to h6 around the king, and it's X marks the spot, as you were saying yesterday.
Yeah, and he could even create a battery here on d4, move to h8, and set up for another knockout punch. So there are a lot of options for Olivier as pieces start to come off the board. That space advantage and that domination of the center is pretty clear.
Definitely. He doesn't really want to deal with it. Now, he's able to do this because the pawn is actually pinned for the moment. The queen isn't defended, and now that knight coming in is actually defending the queen. So he has to kind of be careful.
And great move by Black to defend both the knight and the pawn. That was right for the taking.
Definitely. I'm pretty sure that Olivier wouldn't have played this way if it wasn't chess boxing.
Yeah.
He had an advantage, he knew it, and then he just translated that in his mind to, I want to win straight away. And I think he was being a little bit sloppy, and I'm pretty sure he'll agree with me on that.
So, and the time advantage coming almost to a minute now for our Latvian fighter, Juris.
But if at the end of this round there will be a decision anyway. If nobody's checkmated, then it will the boxing will count. The points on the boxing will count.
Just like an amateur bout, judges scoring the bout based off of points landed. So similar to amateur boxing, significant strikes translate to points for the boxing round. So what Carl was saying about the match being decided at the end of this, no matter if there's a decision or not, this is why boxers getting into chess boxing may favor this type of chess boxing. You still get practice with the state change management of going from boxing to playing speed chess, but it isn't always decided on the board or on the timer. It could come down to a boxing decision. And there's the bell.
Which is kind of strange in a way, because it sounds counterintuitive. You would think the boxer would prefer the real boxing rules where he can knock the guy out, but in that case, you know, the chess player maybe has enough technique to just cover up, you know, the tortoise. You know, I told you yesterday about the tortoise, and you know, just not get knocked out, and then the chess will count. Whereas in this one, yes, he can't go full blast, but at the end of the day, if he does a good job, he's rewarded for it.
That's right, and we do have a third boxing round coming, third and final. We will see these two fighters back at it, trying to score as many points as possible. And so far, I would give a slight advantage to France in terms of number of punches landed. I think he's the more active fighter, throwing quicker punches. Not sure if the judges see it the same way. They obviously have a much better view and are trained to score these bouts. So if I'm the Latvian fighter, I know that I need to have a big win this round. I need to be a lot more active, land a lot more punches to have a shot at winning this fight, because the chess is done.
The chess is done. The chess is done, which is, for me, there's a little bit strange that you don't leave time to at least finish. And then if you won the chess and you lost the boxing, it's a draw. I thought that would have been maybe that's one of the rules that we will introduce, or we will, I don't know. You know,
we may see a lot of draws in that case, which.
But this is. Don't forget, this isn't the real thing, and maybe it's good that there's a lot of draws. You know.
Yeah, it could be.
There's not many draws in the real thing. Oh, bad start of the
all right,
round.
Latvian fighter just throwing 1-2s for the first 7 or 8 seconds of this match, and he continues.
Definitely winning that round.
Yeah, so far the French fighter has not been able to stave off these straight shots. Yeah, so far, a Latvian fighter is doing exactly what he needs to do to claw his way back in this match.
A little bit of footwork here. He's fighting on the back foot, but he's doing a good job now actually landing and countering.
Decent jab. Getting in tight, landing a lead hook over the top.
Very active round for the third round. Huh? You would have thought that they seem almost to have more energy than in the second round.
He's emptying the tank. He's really, I'm impressed. I did not expect this level of output from the Latvian fighter after the last 2 rounds, but he is doing what he needs to do. We'll see if it's enough, though. That was a great 1-2 landed with force by the French fighter. That may keep the Latvian at bay a little bit more now. Good jab lands as well.
Well, obviously the chess now not counting for anything. They're going all in on the boxing.
That's right, yeah. And now that they are, the Latvian fighter is winning this round so far. We have seen some better counter-punching from the French fighter. There was a roll and a counter-cross landed a second ago. That was very clean.
I would say that technically he's better, but the Latvian is holding up on the cardio and actually just going straight forward and being very combative about it.
And there's the bell. What's your pick? Who do you think got the better of that round?
I don't know. I lived in France for a long time, and I know Olivier, so I kind of, I'm biased. But it could go either way.
I think that round went to the Latvian fighter. I think the match overall goes to Olivier. I think he won. I think the first 2 rounds leaned Olivier's way. And our fighters are getting donned in their flags, coming to the center of the ring.
I think. Oh.
So it looks like the first round would have gone to Latvia then, because the second round I think was a clear victory for France. So that's 2 boxing rounds for Latvia to 1 of France. France having the slight advantage on the chessboard positionally, but at a time disadvantage, and all of that being tossed out because of the chess boxing rule set that we're using called ChessBoxing Lite. So if you are tuning in to watch the World Championship, this is not that. We are testing out 2 rule sets, ChessBoxing Fit and ChessBoxing Lite, that will help bring more people into the sport that are a little different.